we're going to do a quick run round with the bottom colour of the triad. Which, just for completeness, is a 36A from Foundry. You know what? I think I will keep it, but I'm just sort of thinking out loud that I might relegate this to one of the rear ranks. I'm going to just put the same edging around this guy. Some of these shields I'm possibly going to do in a dark red edging. And obviously this is only the base coat, but it does tend to give me a really good impression of the end result. Whether I'm going to like it, you know, what kind of figure I'm going to put it on. And you know, like I said earlier, you know, maybe it's a rear rank shield as opposed to a front rank that I want everyone to see when they look at the unit. And I don't mind a bit of black edging showing through, but obviously that's, you know, starting to take shape, so I'm reasonably pleased with that. I'm going to do, I think one of these, I think I'll do the bird effect here with the gold edge as well. And then this guy, I might just do a completely different colour, like a blue or something. And I'm going to have a different, in fact, I'll do one of these as well. So I'll do one of these each of gold, and then maybe some other colours as well. We'll just carry on and do those. But it's the same process. So rather than keep you just watching the same thing again, I'll just switch the video off, do that quickly, and then we'll come back. As you can see, I've run around a few of them now with some different edging colours. I've gone for a dark red here. This is actually a teal blue from the Foundry Triad. And then I've gone around this box here with the teal blue as well. There's actually a drab around over there, a drab 12B. It just occurred to me, and I've also put a couple of sections up here in the same way that we did the other ones. It occurred to me that we haven't got much depth to these shields still, so I've just grabbed a flat red from Vallejo, and I'm just going to try and highlight a couple of these and see what I think in terms of whether it adds any depth to the shields. And again, red is a fairly safe bet normally, in that it's quite weak in terms of coverage, even on other reds. So I'm hoping that this doesn't cause me too many concerns about how bright we're going to make the overall effect. But there was a couple of them that I just thought, do you know what, I don't really like that because it's so flat. So let me just move these out of the way. Move this round. Oh, As I said, even if it is looking a bit bright at the moment, I've got a fair degree of confidence that will dull down a little bit as it dries and won't look quite so stark. And again, we're after variety here, really. I don't want all of the shields to feel the same, as it were. Let's just put a couple of little lines along here to sort of lift the shield. Yeah, I think compared to some of the other ones, it's already a nicer effect. So I'm just going to put a few more of those on some of these. Yeah, and that's actually not a bad effect. I've decided I don't like this shield here, so I might just try blocking in with a darker red on here, and maybe just what do I want to do here? So I think about this. For some reason, I'm picking up a fair bit of reflection. You know what? I think this is one of those shields I'm never going to be happy with it. But we'll leave that like that for a minute. Get some of the dark, some of the lighter red on this one. Not sure quite what I've ended up with over there, but you know, we'll carry on going. Okay. Again, sometimes you don't really need much in terms of lighter coloration to just give yourself that little bit of extra depth. So I don't want this to go back to the bright red that I didn't like, but I do want a little bit more definition. Something like that, maybe. Yep. I need to just think about this guy's tongue here. I'm going to darken it down a little bit. Now, it does actually protrude out down here on the original. Let's make it do that. And then a couple of little lighter streaks in there to give us a bit more of a highlight. Sorry if I took that off camera, but I think you get the idea. Really should have found a bit of blue tack for this one. I don't know why I didn't. I think it's just because I decided it was going to be some extras. Yes, from a distance, and when that dries, that's going to look exactly how I would like it to be. So yeah, okay. So a bit more definition on the shields, a bit of different colours going on. I might take this one and use my red colour and go inside and see if I can get that to create a nice little impression. Following the contours around there. That's actually quite representative in terms of what I saw on some of the shield designs in the reference books. Okay, let's switch that around. Okay. Again, some nice geometric shapes there. Still not happy with this guy here. I need to think carefully about what we're doing about this one, because that blocking is just looks amateur hour. So I don't really like that, and I also don't like these blodges that I've put over here. So I might at this point take some of the darker red and commit to a change. There we go. Oops. And then I'm going to put some circular patterns in there, I think. Yeah, and I'll obviously have to balance that up a little bit. Okay. So going back to these guys over here, I think for the time being we'll just go across like this. And see what I want to do about that moving forward. Being perhaps a little bit over generous with the paint there. Try and cover it over. Okay, but perhaps a couple of little roundels there. We'll sort that one out. So yeah, okay. Not necessarily the best bunch you've seen, but we're actually getting to a stage where they're getting closer to being something I want to plot on some figures. See you shortly. Okay, all I'm doing now is just doing a bit of tidying up on the Gorgon here. Taking a bit of the black and lining around again just to make sure that I've got all of that covered. And in this particular case, I might just want to edge around this tongue that I've got going on here. And then just tidy up the bottom section. And then I was going to revisit the hair a little bit because it's not really the sort of curled hair effect that I wanted. Let me see if I can do something a bit better with that. Hasn't been ideally executed, but never mind. Sorry if you were struggling to see here, but I'm having to lean in a bit here to try and get something sensible going on. I need to make that either thicken it up both sides or lose it. So not too bad there. Bit of a jowly thing going on there. Okay. Get a massive hair going back there. That's okay. So all I'm going to do now is take these black shields and just go around the edges to get a really distinct black outline before I come back and think about highlighting or putting a mid coat on or whatever. That's exactly the same process as before. Just get the brush and obviously try not to go over the main pattern itself. And really I'm just making sure the edges are covered here. Although we will get plenty of opportunities to tidy that in when they start to get near the figure and we start gluing them on. Oops. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to run around and quickly do those. And then highlight this one with the next one in the triad, which is I think a 9B or a 9C. And then put some roundels in these guys. Then I'll give you another look at how they're getting on. Okay, just for me, a couple more bits to do in terms of general sort of improvements to the shields. I'll try and do something a bit more interesting here. Try by putting a higher highlight colour on first. Get rid of this one. And again, what I'm trying to do is create definition, create depth. Try and do something here. And then I'm going to just get some blue, and I'm going to use a Foundry 20C triad. And I'll just clean the brush off. And this storm blue that I talked about, I'm going to actually use the Foundry lighter blue just to sort of accentuate the styling here. And hopefully that will look all right. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of reflection here from the wet paint and the light, so that's not easy to follow, but I think you get the idea. Okay, that had not quite as big a contrast as I was hoping for. Let's leave that there for a moment. Let's see what we can do with this version here. In fact, you know what? I'm going to stop there. I'm going to get the 20C. Sorry, I'm going to get a slightly lighter triad, lighter colour going on. So I'm actually just going to mix this up quickly in a pot. Oops. We don't need much, so we'll just put a small amount in that pot. And I'm going to get just a dab of the 33B sort of off-white colour. I just want to have a slight lift to the colour there. Get off my brush. And just try and highlight this section here. Okay. Got a bit of depth in there. I may even come back to this one with a white actually. I really want it to stand out a little bit more than that. And then in the centre piece, put a bit of that in there. See if that does anything. To be honest with you, that's almost non-existent from up close, but at a distance that's having a nice desired effect. So I think I will, just for the sake of completeness, small highlight on these flower petals. Well, I'm not calling them flower petals because I'm trying to avoid them becoming that. And I think, just for my own sanity, I'm going to put I think, what would be a good colour? I think actually this brown might be a good colour to go in that centre spot there. This is a 61A that I'm using. I don't feel why. Can't explain to you what the logic is here, but it's just it looks a little bit like it needs a central portion of some kind. I'm going to leave it like that. There you go. Right, so these may not be done to everyone's preferred standard or the same style, but I'm actually confident now that I've got enough about them that I want to commit them to at least having a look at what they look like on the figures and starting to maybe arrange the units. So the next stage for me, as I've said many times, is I'm just going to give it a quick once over with the AK Ultra Matte Varnish. I'll give them a little bit more drying time obviously first, then go over them with the Ultra Coat Varnish. Then we'll start to have a look at the backs of the shields and think about maybe positioning them on the actual figures themselves. So see you shortly. So here's a quick look at the shields once I've put the matte varnish on. As you can see, it kind of lifts them a little bit. So I'm not too unhappy with this figure now, or this shield now. These two are probably still the worst ones. But I think all of them, you know, in the context of being positioned within a unit, are going to do us a no harm at all. So the next stage is fairly simple. We're just going to take them off the sort of supporting card, or in this case, lollipop type stick. They're actually tongue depressors, and you can buy them quite cheaply. So all I'm going to do now is just put a backing colour, and I tend to do brown. I'm going to pick the right sort of brown, I think. I'm going to start with, actually, do you know what? I think I'll do this one. I think I'll do the flat brown Vallejo as the base colour, just round here. Excuse me. And then then basically I'll put some lining on as I've done before, just to indicate a bit of grain. And then we'll crack on with actually putting on the figures. So I'll just get something. What I tend to do is hold the shield like this and then paint around it. So let's get sort of brush going here. And actually I'm not going to worry too much about the edges at this stage, because I'm going to definitely tidy those up once they're on the miniature. So this is really not the world's most difficult job. As I say, don't worry if you do. I think it's more important to get the back covered, in my opinion. Obviously you don't want to destroy the shield design that you've managed to put on the front. And that's it. I don't want to, again, try not to push down too hard on the shield, because again you don't want to rub the front design either. But all I'm going to do is run round all of them, making sure that they've got a backing, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So I'll do that quickly. See you shortly. Okay, so they're getting dry enough now for us to put the grain on. So all I'm going to do is take the next one in the triad, which I use as a mahogany brown. And I'm only going to put two colours on here. This is the back of the shield. It's not that visible, obviously. For those of you who like your historical sort of perspective, or figures to be super historical, I think on many occasions that these were coloured reverses to the shields, and I have it in mind that Etruscan shields may have been blue, but I tend to do mine as a sort of planked effort. If you've watched one of my other videos, this is the sort of thing that I do, and whether it's historically accurate or not remains to be seen, but these would have been planked to sort of provide strength and obviously protect from a sword cut this way or a weapon hitting this way. And all I'm doing really is just lining across here. And in my own mind anyway, this creates a general impression that there's a bit of wood grain going on. And that's, the closer you get on here in terms of the gaps between the lines, then you're going to get a better effect. And obviously it's not necessary, but it's just part of what I've kind of got into the habit of doing. So, and I don't worry too much about how great it looks. I just tend to do that sort of effect, and possibly not the world's best until the camera renders it. But it you know, I think when you see like the odd bit of it behind the figure, that can make quite a difference. So I'm just going to run around doing all of these guys and then let them dry. Okay, so I'm going to put these to one side for a moment and bring the figures back, because what we need to do now is work out which figures are going to go where in the unit. Let's just move those out of the way. Sorry about my hand everywhere. As you can see, they're getting nearly dry. What I'm going to do for completeness is put just a thin coat of matte varnish on. Just clear the decks, as it were, a minute. So just to remind you, this is what the figures are looking like. Pretty, I think, oops, I don't know if that's going to sit like that. Hopefully the camera will sort itself out. There you go. So yeah, not too shabby. So I'm just going to get the rest of them out. They're all just lined up here. If you remember, this is an Etruscan unit, and what I'm doing here is trying to work out where I want the various figures in the unit. So I've got there's 24 figures in the unit. There's 3 groups of 8 basically. 2 8s are armed with a long spear, traditional hoplite weapon, and 8 with effectively a heavy throwing weapon as a precursor to the Roman pilum. And also what I want to do here, so what I'm going to try and do is let me just lift this up a little bit. I've got to sort out the heavy throwing weapon guys first. They're probably the easiest ones to look at, and if you remember in the earlier video how I made those, there's another one. Move these spear arm guys to the back. There's another heavy throwing weapon guy, spear armed. We've got some officers here that we'll have to mix between them as well. So there's a spear arm guy. So it looks like I've got 6 the pilum armed chaps. Don't think I've got anything else going on. I know there's another one there, 7. So those 7 going to form the central portion of the unit. And I don't know why, but my inclination is to use some of these kind of shields over here, the flatter ones, just because they're all more Romanesque, and perhaps would suit figures that weren't hoplites, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take one of the officers here, just this one, I think, randomly. So in terms of mixture, I've got a couple with composite armour, or in this case a mixture of scale and composite armour. And then we've got the Linthrax here in its entirety. They're quite red, but in terms of variation, I've got a moss tunic there. I've got effectively a terracotta tunic and a deeper red. So I've got a good mix there. So let's put those to one side. They're going to be the 8 in the centre. Probably, obviously, in the front rank, I'll put the officer. Then we've got another couple of groups of long spearmen, and I'm going to put one of these, well, he's not really an officer, but musician in one of the groups. There are two fairly similar poses as well. This pose here, the only difference being the helmet. This is a Corinthian style helmet over here compared to the open face one here. So given that this has got a sort of terracotta effect, put him in this group to go with the red cloak, and then the other terracotta musician and this guy will go together. So that's starting to build. Then what I'm doing now is looking for figures that are similar again. So we've got two figures here. I don't know if you can see those. Yep, they're fairly similar. And because this crested helmet sort of similar to this one, he'll go into this guy. This one will come over here. To be honest, I don't think it matters, but just trying to mix the colours up a little bit. Then I've got a couple that have got this sort of leaning pose. If I show you what I mean there, so this one here and this one. So I think I just arbitrarily going to put this one in that group, that one in that group. Revisit my sort of stack, as it were. So now I've got two that have got this sort of effect going on. So maybe just put that one there, that one there. I'm trying to just make sure they've got a variety of tunics as well. Again, a couple that are similar. Wouldn't say exactly the same, but similar there. So again, one in that group, one in this group. Then I've got two. I think these two are actually more similar because they've got quite red tunics. So we've got these two guys here to split. And let me just bring those forward a bit so you can see them. So I think, although it's 50-50 really, just split them like that, just because this one's got a lot of white edging. Mind you, actually I'm going to reverse my decision there, because the white edging that he's got is repeated in this unit here. So then just one for one, I'm just going to move this guy over here and that one there. So we've now got our groupings, and then, as I say, once the shields are dry, I'll start to use those groupings to make sure that we get a spread of the shield designs as well, and we'll start to work on putting the unit together. See you shortly.